You know that feeling when an argument in your relationship just erupts out of nowhere? One minute things are fine, the next it's total chaos. Well, what if I told you there's a way to understand this? And it comes from, of all places, physics. It sounds a little wild, I know, but stick with me, because this one idea could completely change the way you see your partner and yourself.
And that brings us to the core question of this whole thing. Why is your partner your chaos mirror? I mean, what does that even mean? If you can wrap your head around this one idea, it can literally shift every single interaction you have with them. So, let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with that problem we all know too well, the argument that seems to have no beginning. The concept here is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly profound. Your partner acts as an instant mirror. They don't just reflect what you say or do. They reflect the chaos you're feeling on the inside, a lot of times before you even realize it's there.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Have you ever come home from a super stressful day at work, you haven't said a single word about it, but within minutes, your partner is suddenly on edge, or they seem irritable for like no reason at all? That right there is the chaos mirror in action. It's that immediate, almost spooky reflection of your own inner state.
So how in the world does this actually work? Well, this isn't just some nice-sounding psychological theory. The source material actually frames this as a kind of relational physics. To really get it, you have to start seeing your relationship as its own little universe, a system of two that operates under some very specific and very predictable laws.
The first rule we need to understand is that your relationship is what's called a closed system. In science, that means energy can't really escape. For a relationship, that's huge. It means you're both in the same bubble. Every mood, every unspoken thought, every bit of energy you put out directly and immediately impacts the other person. Nothing just disappears. And that brings us to the second, and maybe most important rule, entropy. This is a real law of physics, and it basically says that any closed system, if you just leave it alone, will always move towards more chaos and disorder. So think about what that means for your relationship. The default setting is chaos. If you do nothing, if you don't actively put in energy to create order, it will naturally drift into conflict.
All right, so this slide breaks it down perfectly. You have two forces you can use. On the left, you've got what the source calls negative choice, or V-. This is when you inject chaos into the system. Think criticism, blame, fear. When you do that, your partner has no choice but to mirror that disorder back to you. But then look at the right, creative intention, or V+. This is the opposite. This is you consciously adding a force of order, things like love, acceptance, that actually reduces the chaos. You get to be the one who decides which force enters the system.
And this is where it gets really good, because this is where you get your power back. Once you see the physics of it all, you stop being a victim of these random arguments. You realize you can be the one to change the reflection in that mirror. You can initiate what's called a wave of coherence.
And here it is. This is the big mental shift you have to make. Our instinct, almost every time, is to try to fix the other person, right? To tell them to calm down or to stop being so negative. But that's like trying to change your reflection by yelling at the mirror. It's pointless. The only way to change what you see in the mirror is to change the person standing in front of it. It has to start with you.
So how do you actually create this wave? Well, right in that moment when you feel the chaos rising, instead of reacting, you do something different. You consciously generate that V+ energy. You stop and you find a genuine feeling of love, or at the very least, acceptance for your partner. And here's the amazing part. This positive force is actually more powerful than the chaos. It literally washes through the system, cancels out the negativity, and forces the whole situation to reset to a more peaceful state.
Okay, this all sounds great, but what does it actually look like when things are getting heated? Let's get super practical and break down the 3-step reset you can use the very next time you see that chaos showing up in your mirror.
Here it is, your playbook. Step 1, and this is the most important part. Pause. Just stop. Don't react. Break that chain reaction of entropy and ask yourself, what negative energy did I just put into this system? Step 2 is synthesis. This is all internal. Before you do or say a thing, you generate a feeling of sincere acceptance for your partner, just as they are. And finally, step 3 is action. Now you take that internal shift and you make it external. One small step towards order, a compliment, an offer for a hug, even just a real smile. That's it. That's how you start to reverse the flow.
This quote just sums it all up perfectly, doesn't it? Your partner's behavior, it's not random. It's a direct, real-time measurement of your own internal chaos. So if you see disorder in them, this model challenges you to look inward first. It's such a powerful and kind of humbling way to look at things.
And so that leaves us with one final and really empowering question. Once you understand this system, you're not just reacting to a reflection anymore. You're the one creating it. So the next time things start to get chaotic, remember you have a choice. The power is in your hands. What are you going to choose to see in your mirror?